Hello, this is a review of the Montblanc 149 Platinum trim with a medium nib. As you can see, the snowcap logo. First, let's get into the packaging. Comes this huge clamshell box. There's actually a bigger box than this. It's like a cardboard box, but I don't want to take it out and everything like that. Now let's get into the pen itself. The pen is a platinum trim, unlike this gold trim that's usually the most popular. It has a stiff clip, like most Montblanc pens. It has the snowcap logo that shows you that it's a Montblanc pen. On the band, it says Montblanc Meisterstuck number 149. Or it's the 146, it just says, it doesn't have the number 149. And it just looks very classic, it's like a cigar style. It's a piston filler, which is very smooth. And as you can see, it's a very smooth operational piston. Holds a lot of ink, as you would expect from a piston filler, and at this price. Now, let's get into the nib itself. The nib is a two-tone number 9 size nib. Looks very elegant, looks very beautiful to look at, and it's a pretty big nib. And as you can see in the nib section as well, it's a pretty thick nib section, so you gotta be comfortable with that. Then you see the striated ink window, looks like a prison style ink window. And the nib section doesn't flare out as much, so I wish it was flared out a little bit, just like the M1005, which makes it a lot more comfortable, but it's still very comfortable to hold, even for me. As you can see, my hands are not big, nor are they small, and it looks very comfortable on my hands. Keep in mind this is the same length as the 146, difference being it's a lot thicker. When you post the pen, it is still very balanced because the piston rod is also plastic, just like the entire pen, which goes the same way for the 146. Now let's get into general comparisons. Here we have this Lime Safari, which is not a small pen to begin with. Then we have the Montblanc 146, which is younger brother. As you can see, it's pretty much the same length. It's just the 149 is a lot thicker. Then we have the M805. Then we have the M1005, which pretty much same size. The 149 being a little bit girdier in the barrel itself. Then we have the Sailor King of pen, which is longer than both of them. Then we have the Namiki Cairo Royale, which is pretty much the same size as the 149. Then we have Palette Custom Urushi, which is an actual oversized pen. People make the 149 out to be very big, but it's not actually that big. It's just very thick. When it's uncapped, as you can see the comparison, the 149 matches up with other pens in its own market. Now when it comes to nibs, as you can see, the 149 has a pretty number 9 size nib, so it's pretty big. It's a lot bigger than the 146, but it's in the same hemisphere as the M1005, Sailor King of pen, and Palette Custom Urushi. These are the nibs that are pretty much similar size. As you can see, they all have plastic feeds, just like the 149, and these are big nibs, as you can tell, and they're all gorgeous nibs to look at. And as you can see in the nib sections, I wish the nib section of the 149 was similar to the Custom Urushi or the M1005. As you can see, they all flare out. So is the King of pen. Only the 149 that doesn't flare out as much when it comes to the nib section. But yeah, this is a piston filler, as I mentioned, holds good enough ink, like 1.4, 1.5 millimeters of ink, and I'm inking it up with Montblanc Jazz Blue. It's pretty easy to ink it up, and because it holds good enough ink, you can write with this for a long time. But keep in mind, it's also a pretty wet pen. Most Montblanc nibs are wet, so it goes through ink a lot faster than you would think. Now let's get into the writing sample. This is a top-down view of the writing sample, and I'll do a side view as well for those that want that kind of view. Symbol 49, and Platinum trim. This is a medium nib. It's 18 karat medium nib. And compared to the older nibs, this is a lot more stiff. And there's relatively a lot of feedback. This is not as smooth or like soft as the 1005 or Pelican nibs in general, but it's still very reliable and enjoyable pen to use with if you enjoy feedback with your nibs. Because the pen is big, you have to be used to how you write, because you don't really rest your hand as much as you would think. And it's a pretty wide pen. There's not that much line variation like I mentioned. And when it comes to feedback, it's not just audible feedback like with Sailor. The one way to know is you put headphones on, then write with it. If you feel tiltiness, that means that there's really bad feedback. But if it's just smooth when you have headphones on, then it just means just audible feedback. In this case, it's a combination of both. There's some tiltiness, but it's not like scratchiness, if that makes sense. It's a feedback that's expected of Montblanc nibs. Just like how you expect some hardness with platinum nibs. That's what they're known for. And it's a relatively medium wetness, so if you enjoy that kind of wetness, you can get this pen. Now the side view. The nib is just gorgeous to look at, as you can see. What makes this nib more special than other nibs is the two-tone look. It just looks very elegant, and how the entire pen is platinum, it just makes it pop. As I mentioned, there's not that much line variation, which is unfortunate, but this is good for people that want to take notes, because they don't have to worry about the time splitting. You can just go on and take notes very fast without having to worry about the nib. Now let's get into the pros and cons of this pen. First, let's get into the pros. First pro is the nib. The nib is just gorgeous to look at, it's reliable, it writes out of the box, so there's no complaints there. There's some feedback, but that is expected with Montblanc nibs when you're buying a Montblanc pen. The size and weight. This is a pro for me because I enjoy the girdiness of the pen, which is one of the reasons why I got this, and the size of the nib. The nib is just gorgeous to look at, it's a big nib, and the weight. It's a pretty lightweight pen, so even if it's big, it's still lightweight. So that is one of the reasons why most people still have Montblanc 146s, 149, because it's lightweight, because the piston is plastic as well. So the entire pen is plastic, and it's a piston filler. So it holds 1.4, 1.5 millimeters of ink, depending on how much you want to full ink it up. Just good enough ink, and it's a lot more than cartridge converters, which are usually about 1.9 millimeters of ink. So you have about 0.5 more millimeters of ink, and the prestige. So whenever someone sees the Snowcap logo, they know what brand this pen is. It's the most famous fountain pen in the world, most famous fountain pen company in the world, I think. So you have a prestige going for you, you have the history of Montblanc, and it remains as value pretty well. Now let's get into the cons. The first con for most people might be the size. Even though it's not as big in terms of length, it's the same length as like the 146. The problem comes in is the thickness. It could be too girty for some people. Another con is the fact that it's precious resin, which Montblanc calls their pens. In essence, it's a plastic pen. My problem isn't that the entire body is plastic. My problem is that the piston rod is plastic as well. For a pen that is this expensive, I want the piston rod to be reliable. I want it to be just like the Pelicans, where they use brass pistons for reliability, and Pelican pens are very balanced because the piston as well. It makes it feel high quality as well. So I wish it was a brass piston, which they used to do in the past, but the prices have gone up and the quality has dropped. So I wish it was opposite. As price goes up, quality increases, but that is not the case with Montblanc pens. And another con is that it's very difficult to clean. The reason it's difficult to clean is because you can't unscrew the nib section like you can do with Pelican pens because you need proprietary tools to unscrew it. As you can see in this video, see those two holes parallel to each other? That's where the tools go in to unscrew the nib. It does not come with that, and you might get it secondary market. You have to pay for it. So it makes cleaning hard and it makes trying out other nibs like swapping nibs very hard. So I do wish they made the nibs unscrewable just like Pelican so you could easily clean this since it's a piston filler. Since you can't clean that way, now you have to keep on using it the same way that you ink up the pen to clean the pens, to flush the pen, which can be tedious. And at last, the price. This is a $960 retail pen, and you can't really find this that much better when it comes to discounted prices on retailers because it's a platinum trim. Platinum trim seems to be more expensive than the gold trims. But the fact that the entire pen is essentially plastic, or what they call precious resin, and it costs damn near $1,000. I understand it's a gold nib, but keep in mind you're paying at least 40 to 50% for just the brand name alone. But if you buy a very good price like I did, then this could be very worth it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.